human being is a combination of both. We're a combination of both the animal and the divine, maybe the middle step in between. What's up, everyone? And welcome back to A God with Amnesia. Today, I wanted to take some time to really talk about animals, spirit animals, animal totems, and the energy that animals carry and how we can learn from it, and what they mean in our life. I personally have had a bunch of experiences with different animals that have come to me during different times in my life, and they've all helped me learn more about myself, and learn more about the energies that they carry. So I think really starting off, it's important to understand that every animal carries its own energy. You have more regal animals, so we think about lions and the king of the jungle concept. You have clever animals, you think of monkeys and the way they steal tourists' money or shiny things or glasses or whatever it might be. You have old, ancient animals, the reptiles, who have been on the planet the longest, and who contain and absorb a lot of knowledge in themselves. You have animals that are associated with more negative concepts, like pigs and swine. So a lot of people don't eat pork because they think of animals as dirty, or as pigs they think of pigs as dirty or unclean animals. So every animal in itself carries its own energy, and we can really learn a lot from these, from watching the way they behave and the way they come into and out of our lives. We need to understand that everything we see and everything we experience in this realm, in this reality, in physical 3D, is essentially a way of us interpreting energy. All you're seeing outside yourself is, they tell you, electromagnetic signals that your brain interprets and creates a picture out of. So a bunch of energy that your brain has converted into something that you can understand, into an image, into a moving picture, which is what we call life. In particular, I personally, over the past 2-3 years, have found a few animals that I've resonated with, that have come to me as signs at different times in my life, and through learning more about them, I've been able to learn more about myself, and the messages that they carry for me specifically. Kind of just going down the list of animals that have appeared to me at different times. The first, and probably the one I resonate most with, are cats. Growing up, I hated cats. They made me feel uncomfortable. I was a little strange. I never really understood the concept of animals, to be honest with you. Like, I was very much so like, what is that other sentient being over there doing? Like, how does it think? What is it doing? I just I couldn't understand like what an animal was. So a lot of that was coming into my own becoming comfortable with myself as a being, and understanding that is also another being having a completely different experience, but sharing the same space and time as myself. Cats in particular, because cats are associated often with spirituality, often with mysticism, with the magical concept of cats. Cats have always been seen as spiritual creatures. If you even think about like the bad raps that cats have, black cats in particular, associated with witchcraft and sorcery and all these negative connotations, that's things that we've put onto them because of our own insecurities, our own ignorance. But in fact, cats are very intuitive creatures. Cats are very wise creatures. Cats actually have the ability to see beyond the spectrum that we see. So oftentimes you'll hear of stories of cats seeing things in rooms that you can't see or that humans can't see. Often they're seeing spirits, they're seeing ghosts, they're seeing entities that may not exist on this physical domain, but then are nonetheless there. And so we can learn from them to widen our vision, to widen our perspective. Cats are also attracted to areas of high energy. So if you're performing meditation or any other spiritual work, don't be surprised if your cat walks into the room and joins you. Cats are known to purr and meditate alongside. There's even these ideas or theories that cats are able to hop into different dimensions, right? And so talk about cats disappearing and just appearing a distance away from where they were last seen in a time that doesn't make sense. If you go online or just search some of these stories, people have had these experiences, and they're not false, they're not unfounded. Cats are definitely mystical creatures. In my own experience, I became more fond of cats, particularly when I started learning more about my culture, and particular spirits or deities that are associated with cats. And so as I started seeing these cats more and more, I would ask myself, like, why am I seeing cats? Why are cats just walking up to me in the middle of the street or walking up to my house, looking for me, essentially? And I interpreted it as a sign from these messengers, or whatever you might call it in your culture, that I was being watched over, that I was being guided, or that there was a message that these cats were trying to convey to me. Another animal, another one that I've come into contact with, but not on a physical realm, more of an astral realm, snakes. And so I've dreamt of snakes for a period of time, consecutively, night after night. I was dreaming of different snakes. And snakes have always been also another animal given a bad rep. If you think about the biblical or scriptural story of Adam and Eve, are historically known to have been tempted by the serpent. Often it's easy to say, okay, snakes are slime or weird creatures. Snakes are kind of fearful. People are usually fearful of snakes. However, at certain times in different cultures, snakes have also been seen as wise creatures, as creatures of transformation, of creatures of initiation. Even the idea that snakes shed their skin is a whole idea of renewal, death and renewal, which is something that we all go through. We all die and we all renew ourselves on a daily basis. You go to sleep, you wake up. That's in a sense death and renewal. So you can take that concept from snakes of just being always in states of transformation. So whenever I have dreams of snakes, I know that it's a time in my life that I'm probably going to go through some serious transformation. Another animal that's spoken to me is spiders. And so I used to see spiders a lot, and as I became more conscious of them as animals, as beings, I really tried not to kill insects. I go out of my way to put them out of my space or my room or whatever it might be. But even just watching a spider, one day there was a spider in my room and I spent like 30 minutes watching the spider crawl all over my ceiling, start spinning a web, and just sitting in its web. And that idea of spinning a web, the fact that an animal so small, that a creature so delicate, can spin something so beautiful, so symmetrical, so in tune with nature. Even the format of a web is in a spiral, ripple-like form. If you look at your fingerprint is a ripple. If you look at a tree when it's cut down, the age rings on the tree are ripples. And so it's a natural formation, wave-like formation that nature comes into manifestation through. And so spiders, in embodying this web-like structure, are able to attune themselves with nature. And also other cultures, if you think about ancient Greece, the fates, the women who were associated with your destiny and with your fate, were always seen as weavers. In Native American cultures, grandmother spider is seen as a weaver of fate. And so whenever I see spiders, I know that something aligned to my destiny, something aligned to my fate, something's coming down the road, or that I might be going through at the time that is aligned to what my higher purpose is. Another animal that I came into contact with more recently, also not in a physical space, but just through symbolism, through images in my reality, are octopus. And so the idea of, if you look at an octopus, and there's a great video on Netflix, I would watch it. It's called My Octopus Teacher. I watched it a few weeks ago. But it talks about the intricacies of the being that we call an octopus. The way it's able to transform and shapeshift. It can grow horns. It can change its color. It can meld into its environment. That adaptability, and a way it's able to really be flexible within whatever environment it's in. It's a lesson we can take from. It's an energy we can carry and adopt into our own lives. Whatever situation you might be going through, whatever situation might be stressing you out, there's a way to adapt. There's a way to maneuver through it. Squeezing through small spaces, if it might be, like if you can, they say an octopus, if it can get its like beak or whatever through a small enclosure, it can get its whole body through. Even the idea that octopus, we don't really understand them. If you talk on an intelligence level, they're very intelligent creatures along with dolphins. And they say that each leg of an octopus, all 8 legs, the number 8 is important, along with spiders, has the own brain, has its own mind. Each leg of an octopus is thinking independently. So it's kind of like 8 different beings in one. The number 8 is also very important, particularly with spiders, as I mentioned, just because it's always seen as a symbol of infinity. If you turn 8 on its side, it's a symbol of infinity. Symbol of cycles, symbols of full circles, of spirals, of things coming back. What goes out comes back in. What goes up comes down, things like that. That natural cycle is something that the energy of an octopus really, truly embodies. Those are some of the animals I personally have been identified in my life with. There have been others that have come through at certain times. If I see a lot of beetles have been known for grounding. And so whenever I see beetles in my room or whatever it might be, I'm like, okay, be more grounded. And so these animals carry a message with them. If you look at ancient cultures, particularly like Egypt or Kemet, right? The way they described and portrayed their deities or their divinities were often in animal forms. They had animal heads. You look at Thoth, which was associated with baboon. You look at Sekhmet, which is associated with a lion. They recognize that the divine manifests itself through various energy forms, and animals are also representations of animals. Animals are also representations of these energies. They're one and the same. The divine exists in animals as it exists in humans, as much as it exists in any other creature that we might see. Through examining these creatures, through learning more about them, we can learn more about the divine and the way it manifests in our reality. Even images like the Sphinx, which honestly is a lot older than current Egyptologists will admit. It's been dated to like 4000 BC, 3000 BC, but the Sphinx has been water eroded, so it was created in a time when the Sahara Desert must have been full of rain. 10,000, 11,000 years ago maybe. And so if we look at just the timeline and the impact that it has had on the upbringing of civilization, of culture, the Sphinx is in the shape of the body is in the shape of a lion or a beast, but the head is the shape of a man, and it really relates to the human situation, how we see ourselves. We struggle often with this animal instinct versus our man or divine intellectual nature, recognizing that the human being is a combination of both. We're a combination of both the animal and the divine, maybe the middle step in between, not really a foot in both worlds, if you want to say. And so really coming into that full ownership of ourselves, ownership of our being, is an important thing that we all must do on an individual and collective basis. Through learning about animals, through exploring them, I've been able to learn more about myself. I've really truly been able to come into this idea of becoming a god, becoming more divine within my own nature. Whether it's through dreams, whether it's in physical reality, whether it's just maybe an animal pops into your head, it's really something to listen to. And these animals are sometimes representations of ourselves. If you resonate with a certain animal, you are resonating with a part of yourself in another conscious being, in another conscious entity, and it's important to recognize that. Just a little information I just want to give about animals and the way they've influenced my life. One of my pieces of advice I would give to people is really keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open as to the animals that you see in your world, as to the energies that you think they might carry and the message that you think that they might be trying to give you. So thanks for joining. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you guys next time.